This is the Rebel Call channel. Welcome to today's show. It's important that people start realizing just what a true scam the climate agenda is. And stories like this should start resonating with people about what this is really about. This is about taxing your every movement, and it's not about making money as much as it is about maintaining and taking control over your movements. And California is a perfect example of what hell on earth truly looks like. In California, okay, look at it from this perspective. They are banning gas-powered vehicles in the year 2030 to 2035, that window. There will be none sold in the year 2035 and forward. And beginning in the year 2026, they are going to scale back the amount of gas-powered vehicles that you can purchase. So in other words, the government is forcing people to buy electric vehicles. Then when you look at this story, you should be able to start saying, hey, now I'm starting to understand what they're trying to do. So they've baited people into thinking that getting an electric vehicle is good for the environment. And then they've even baited them more by saying, hey, you know what? You're not going to have to pay for gas anymore. And all these people went, wow, imagine how much money I'd save every month not having to pay for gas. And then they say, hey, on top of that, there won't be a gas tax either. And they'll go, whoa, wow, that's great. And now they're starting to see exactly what the government has planned for everyone. Because instead of a gas tax, the newest thing that they're going to try to do to people who drive electric vehicles is they're going to tax you on miles driven. 4 cents per mile that you drive, which will add up. And of course, like anything the government does, whenever they give you something for free or offer you money to do something, you should be very suspicious. The last time they did this, they were offering civilians poison and saying, if you go and poison yourself, we'll give you a $100 gift card to Denny's or even a lap dance at your local strip joint. Hey, come on, put some poison in your body. We'll give you a Visa gift card for $150 to GameStop. And every single sucker went and did it. And still to this day, most of them are in denial about what they did. Well, this is the same type of thing because now the government in California is offering any civilian who joins up for this pilot program $400 to sign up to be taxed per mile.
Well, Janice,
driven.
when you thought the controversial mileage tax proposal was gone, a new similar plan is now being considered by the state to charge you for each mile you drive to help pay for roads.
But first, there's a pilot program to test all of this out. CBS 8's Alex Lai joining us live in Otay Mesa to explain what this plan is. Good morning, Alex.
Good morning. Yeah, California is actually recruiting drivers right now to be in this pilot program for the road charge. And you could actually earn up to $400 by joining this pilot program. Now, the road charge is essentially looking to replace the gas tax as more people are starting to drive electric vehicles. California is actually losing money while they're charging for the gas tax. So it will test 2 different payment models. One is a flat per mile rate that would tax people on the number of miles they drive instead of the current gas tax, which charges based on how much gas you buy. The other payment method is an individual rate based on a vehicle's fuel efficiency. And to track this, the program will either take a picture of your odometer, have a device installed to your car to log miles, or a device that will track actually where you drive. This study is looking for 800 people who will begin paying the mileage fee every month. The program will run for 6 months from August to about January. And if you complete all parts of the program, you'll actually earn up to $400. Plus, participants will get a credit for electric vehicle registration or gas taxes, so they're not being double taxed. The current gas tax is almost 60 cents a gallon, and most of those funds go to the highway and road repairs. And the California gas tax is actually going up 2 cents in July. All of this comes as the sale of new gas-powered cars is going to be banned in 2030. 2035. And so back out here live, it's high gas prices just like these behind me that is encouraging more and more people to start driving electric vehicles, which in turn leads to the state of California to lose money because less people are being charged the gas tax, which is why they are trying to introduce this pilot program for the road charge. So if you are interested in joining this pilot program and potentially earning up to $400 by doing so, you can go to cbs8.com and click the help button. Back to you.
So the government tells you you can't drive a gas-powered vehicle without telling you, of course. They just say, we're going to ban it in 2035 because we need to move forward with the climate initiative, which, of course, is nothing more than an enslavement agenda. People go, all right, well, I mean, it sounds fine by then. I guess I could get one and I don't have to pay for gas anymore since, the government has deliberately made gas prices so high so that they could try to persuade you into buying an electric vehicle. Then, of course, we saw all the stories that came out in the winter. They don't tell you about how these batteries in these electric vehicles all were shot because it was cold outside. And when it gets cold, if you don't run that battery all the time, well, it's a chance that your battery might go. And a lot of people with electric vehicles lost their batteries. And then they don't tell you how expensive it is to replace a car battery in an electric vehicle, which is almost as much as the car costs. And then on top of all of that stuff, they come out and they tell you, we're going to tax you per mile. In other words, why don't you just come out and tell us that you're going to make us slaves? Why don't you just come out and tell us that we can't go X amount of miles, we can't leave our little villages that you're going to create, we can't leave our smart cities, because that's where this is headed. California roads are maintained through gas tax revenue, they tell us, but that's dwindling with the increase in the number of electric vehicles. Now, that's another scam that they get people to believe that your gas tax goes towards your roads. What about your state tax? What about the taxes you pay on your property tax? Those are things that are supposed to go towards local roads, but they tell you that it's your gas tax. So the new pilot program aims to charge drivers for using the roads based on how much they actually drive. So in other words, the more you drive, the more you'll be taxed. And this starts with the cars and it ends with you, because people are so dumb, they don't realize when they talk about carbon emissions, they're talking about human beings. And everybody goes, that's not what they mean, that's not what they're saying. And eventually it will be what they say out in the open, because when this ends up not being enough and they say we got to do more, the next thing they're going to look to, in addition to your diet and the stuff that you're consuming and purchasing, is going to be you and how often you leave your home. Because they're going to say at first it's the car and the carbon emissions from the car, and then they're going to say it's from human beings being outside too much. And all they have to do is convince you with their fake science that the climate agenda is getting worse and worse by wiping states out with weaponized weather, so people are in fear going, look, there's tornadoes and hurricanes because of carbon emissions. Everyone's going to go, okay, we better behave. And they're going to go, well, next up, it's not just, taxing you on how many miles you go, it's going to be taxing you on how often you leave your house. And then they're going to go, hey, well, what do you need to leave your house for? Everybody's angry at each other. You can get stuff delivered right to your door, and you won't realize that you're a prisoner in your home, right? Because again, there's not enough jail cells to put everybody in it. So what they've done is they've tricked people into enslaving themselves with technology so that they'll never leave their home. And eventually, when you have a smart meter on your home, whether it's for your electricity or for your water supply, the government will be shutting those supplies off as they please. And they'll be telling you that everybody has to do their part for the climate initiative, and all these suckers will continue believing it until the day they die, because they're too prideful to believe that these people that they like and support are actually wicked psychopaths, sicker than any serial killer we've ever heard about, even though the majority of them are CIA productions. So, you will be taxed for distance that you drive. And they go on to say maintaining roadway cost around $8 billion to $9 billion a year, with the vast majority of the funds coming from California's gas taxes, which are collected every time a driver fills their gas tank. According to Caltrans, California now has more than 1.2 million hybrid or electric vehicles registered in the state, which means gas tax revenues are failing. It's amazing to me how these people don't realize that the government just is forcing all this on everybody without their consent by changing the rules, changing the laws, changing everything they can to forcing you to get an electric vehicle. And that's what they've done. They've used dual mind control tactics, right? In California, they've convinced everybody of the climate agenda. Everybody in California, we all know the majority of people there are Democrats who are completely clueless, going through life completely clueless, but being told and empowered that they know what's going on, and they're proactive, and they're Their mindset is thinking futuristically. And these people couldn't be dumber. They're just working them into slavery. And these people are going to smile while they're enslaved. And they're still going to say that we're all conspiracy nuts because they're so prideful. They're still going to go, hey, those people who think that the carbon footprint has something to do with enslavement are crazy. And you're going to say, were you able to go see your grandma this year when she was dying because you exceeded your amount of carbon credits? Were you able to leave your house? And they're going to go, no, I wasn't. But that's not why. It's not because they didn't want to keep me inside it's because of the climate, all right? And this is what we're dealing with. So on average, Californians pay about $300 a year in state gas taxes. EVs have a $100 annual registration fee. That's a $200 million a year loss. To bridge the gap, Caltrans is proposing what it calls California Road Charge, which would tax drivers on the number of miles they drive. Mileage could be tracked by plugging an electric device into a vehicle using a vehicle's built-in tracking system, or by simply submitting photos of the vehicle's odometer, according to Caltrans. I mean, the fact that I'm reading a sentence like this and it's not registering with people is pretty frightening, right? Plug in an electric device into a vehicle which already has a built-in tracking system. And everyone just goes, what's the big deal? Can't we solve crimes with these types of technology, this stuff in place? Does it make it easier for me to find the store that I'm trying to look for? Oh, yeah, actually makes the government much easier for them to track you, because when you wake up and realize what's being done and what's actually happened, it's going to be too late, because they're going to be monitoring your every breath. And they're going to know where you are at all times. And thus the psychopaths who have somehow come to power and the corporations who have somehow gained so much control over people's lives with their technology are going to be monitoring and tracking your every movement so that you can't uprise against what they've done, which is create a tyrannical government, of course, through global communism. So Caltrans will start a 6-month pilot program where they will have people sign up for the pilot program and can earn up to $400 for taking part. Now, you might say, well, if they're $200 million short and they're offering people $400 to sign up for the program, who's funding that? Well, you're funding it. Duh. You're funding your own enslavement. That's the point. All right, that's the overall point of what they're trying to do. They're getting you to fund your own imprisonment. They're getting you to buy the devices that enslave you. They're getting you to pay the taxes on just absolute insane taxes that they create that we let them get away with. It's pretty insane that we've gotten to a point where we even have a gas tax. But most people are like, oh, that's normal to get taxed on your gas. Yeah, when the gas tax first came out, you think they felt that way? Huh? When taxes on a stick of gum came out, you think they felt that way? No, people were probably in an uproar. I can guarantee they were, right? Tax on every little thing. Now they're taxing your miles driven. They want to tax. And, if you go over that limit, it's 4 cents a month, that adds up. Say you got to make a trip. I mean, 100 miles isn't the furthest trip in the world. Imagine go cross country. Woo! That cost you a pretty penny, right? Probably cost you 6 figures at the end of the day, going cross country and then paying at hotels where they raise the prices of all those. I mean, it's ridiculous is what it is. And I tell people who are new to this, and sometimes it does resonate with them. They go, oh, okay, right. When the government's giving you something away for free, not only be suspicious, run from the idea. Don't take the handout, run from it. But unfortunately, there's Democrats who take the handouts because they live in a world where they prefer not to work. They feel like they've been victimized, and that's part of how the psychological war is working. And they think that they deserve to have government handouts. When the government's handing you something for free, they're telling you that you're a sucker. And if you take it, you're an even bigger sucker. And we just saw in 2020 and 2021, and still to this day, how big of a society of suckers we live among. Because they willingly got people, or I should say they coercedly got people to willingly poison their own bodies. And people took bait on getting gift cards because they were like, free money? I will never say no to free money, right? And now they're going, hey, you know what? We're going to tell you that we're losing all this money with, gas tax, and we can't fund the roads, but we'll pay people to let us tax them on miles driven, right? And who's paying it? We're paying it. Well, citizens in California are, right? I mean, unbelievable. It's really unbelievable. I mean, Gavin Newsom was just at the Vatican talking openly about the climate initiative with the Vatican. right? And that's what the Vatican cares about, right? They just care about the climate. I mean, none of these people have a clue about the climate agenda. If you're new to this stuff, sub to my channel if you just stumbled upon it, okay? The carbon footprint, the climate agenda, Agenda 2030 is the most important thing you could learn about. It might not sound like the funnest thing to learn about. It might sound green and boring and something with nature and science, but it's not. It's ultimately a deception to enslave humanity with a carbon footprint, which will do things just like this: tax your movements, tax your mileage, tax what you purchase. And it's not just about money, okay? You're gonna go to the store and you're gonna get taxed. Okay, people go, wow. Yeah, but when you go to the store and you try to buy 10 hamburgers because you're gonna have some guests over, you're gonna realize that not only can you not have guests over because you can't have 10 people over because it's too much carbon emissions, you're not gonna be able to make the purchase. It's not even gonna be an extra fee where you're like, oh, I gotta pay an extra $50 for 10 hamburgers. No, your card isn't gonna work. You're gonna go over your allotted allowance. That's what this is. It's an enslavement system. It's like being a prisoner just without bars. The bars and the prison are in your mind and all around us because the technology is going to enslave us. We're going to get locked out of everything. You're going to get locked out of your home. Your electricity is going to be locked off. You're only going to be allowed to shower X amount. It's the same thing as a prisoner. They're just not telling you it. And they're doing it with duping delight, just like this. I thank everybody for being here. I hope you're all doing well. God bless all of you, as always, and your families.